Good evening, everyone. So this is Hassan Habib from Hassel Free Education, and today I'd like to bring the prominent guest, Dr. Rabiul Islam, and we call him Rob. And today he's gonna share a lot of things. Through his experience and all that stuff. And today, our title is How to Get a Good Grades Without Being Nuts. So, if you don't like to be a nurse and still you'd like to get a good grades, if you don't like to be a crazy, still you'd like to be a good grades. So, this is gonna be a show for you, and I would recommend you please. Keep watching this video till the end. If you miss even a single part, of course, um, rewind it, watch time and again, and so that you can understand what he shares today. So right now, I'd like to give you some sort of information so that you can understand what's going on. So, on this um, page, we are going live almost each and every day, and we are trying to bring a lot of guests, and we have already piled up a lot of guests. So on Monday at 9 o'clock, we're gonna bring IT senior IT consultant, and he's gonna share a lot of things about um, about the career of IT sector. What sort of things you should do, and they will give you ins and out of IT sector, and he will show the pathway. How to become a consultant and what sort of things you need to focus, and especially what sort of things you need to do to get all those skills so that you can stand out from the crowd and you can grab a suitable job, or you can start your own business or self-employed using those sort of skills. That's gonna happen on that day. So now I would like to give you another update. So another day we're gonna bring up one of our guests, and um, I would say she would be an example how to empower the women, and she's gonna share a lot of things. And we haven't booked the date yet. We haven't scheduled the date yet. So once we schedule her, we're gonna let you know as well. And today, I'd like to bring Dr. Robiul Islam, and he's gonna share with you a lot of things. So now, I'm so excited to bring our guest, Dr. Robiul Islam, and he's gonna join us within a short time, and that's why I'd like to just join him, stay with us till the end, and so that you can understand everything. Just uh, how So, hello everyone. This is live. We are live right now, and I'd like to, bring our honorable guest, Dr. Robil Islam, and he'll be sharing a lot of ins and outs regarding the assignment and how to get a good grades without being a nurse. And I'm so excited to bring him on. So, thank you very much showing up. So, sir, how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. And I'm really honored to attend this session, especially to give some advice or tips in regards to assignments.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so again, I'd like to give you a lot of thanks because I know you are so busy. During this period of time as well, and as you shared, you have got a lot of academic stuff going on, and still, I would like to thank you so much that you, made some time for us. And so, what's gonna happen is, so I'd like to give you some sort of ideas. So here we have got almost 5,000 people who are following
Mm.
this page, and a few of them already on live as well. They're watching us, and what's going to happen is next is I'm going to ask you a few questions regarding the assignments, and you'll be answering all the questions, and probably we're going to get some questions from the audience as well, and I'll share it with you. Probably you're going to answer them as well. And finally, would like to give some sort of resources and reference as well where they can help regarding this service and support. So first question I'd like to ask you, sir. Can you please introduce yourself? Who you are? Who is Dr. Rabiul Islam?
Thank you. I'm Rabiul Islam. Actually, I did my PhD in the areas of managing electronic communications, focusing on small and medium-sized enterprises. And my focus was on especially the developing countries. And professionally, I'm a teacher. I'm a qualified teacher and fellow of Higher Education Academy at the same time.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm working in a further education college as well as a higher education college, and engaged with one of the biggest awarding organizations in the United Kingdom. However, due to confidential, we are not allowed to say the name of the institutions. But I'm working externally and assuring the external quality for schools, further education provider schools, sixth form college, and other technical or vocational colleges as well. Thank you.
Uh, Thank you so much, sharing a lot of things. So, if you don't mind, can you please share some sort of your childhood memory and all that stuff? I mean, where have you started your educational journey? I mean, your college, school, and university, all that stuff. Would like to know ins and outs about you.
Thank you. Well, this one is actually, you can say, diverse experience and diverse things happened in my life. I was born and brought up in a countryside of Bangladesh. It's in Tangail district, one of the districts in Bangladesh. And I started my primary education there. Then I completed my secondary education from the same institution. Luckily, I could secure all types of scholarships and everything in the school life. After completing my primary and secondary education, I did my higher secondary education from one of the biggest and renowned colleges in Bangladesh. That one is Dhaka College from Science Group. And after completing my higher secondary education, I joined in as a bachelor level students in University of Dhaka, which is the largest university in Bangladesh again. And I studied mainly applied mathematics. My bachelor's and master's was on applied mathematics. At the same time, I did one bachelor's on education. That one is B.Ed. And if after completing my master's degree, I came to UK to study further, actually for doing my master's program. So I did my master's program from University of Wales Trinity St David on managing communications again. So, and luckily I was fortunate at that time, though the global recession was going on all over the world, but I could secure a job in a college, in a higher education college at that time, and I started my career from there as a lecturer. And I also joined as a part-time PhD student at the same time, because I was in post-study work visa, and at the same time I got job and I got offer for PhD program from another university, Cardiff Metropolitan University. So I started that program, and I continued that one, and luckily I finished that one as well. So this one is my academic. At the same time, if I said, as I earlier mentioned, that a diverse career. So though I studied applied mathematics in bachelor's and masters, I did another masters on managing communications, and I did my PhD on managing electronic communication, which is the blended of mathematics and management.
Mhm.
And I have done another. It's not finished yet. It's continuing doctorate in business administrations, focusing on specially online education for developing countries.
Mhm. Mhm.
And now working, as I told you a bit earlier, that I'm working in two places mainly. Is a further education provider, and one is higher education provider.
Mhm.
At the same time, I'm working for another external awarding organization as a freelance standards verifier.
Mhm. Okay, thank
Thank
you very
you.
much. Thank you very much for sharing all that stuff. And now I'd like to ask you, I mean, a lot of questions. So before asking you, I'd like to share this some sort of, I mean, struggles. I mean, while I was studying at Birmingham City University, mainly, when I started my study at Birmingham City University. So my background was totally different. I studied in history, I mean, in honors and master. So when I came to the UK and I started studying in business, international business, basically. And in the first semester, I had four subjects, and three of them I failed. And the funny thing is, three of them I failed. All were the assignments. So what I understood that, well, probably I didn't understand. I mean, was the policy and procedure to get a good grades in assignment. So the same thing happened to a lot of our students. I mean, when they would like to do the assignments, they struggle a lot, and that's why I have requested to share a lot of things regarding the assignment. So first of all, my question is, so like me, I mean, who has started their university right now and they haven't got any sort of ideas, I mean, how to do the assignment and all that stuff. When they join the classroom, and they have been taught a lot of things and stuff, and after that is this, I mean, instructor or teacher said you have to do the assignment, and this is, let's say, studying with 1,500 hours or 2,000 hours. So the first question to you, sir, is what are the key concepts and principles of assignment?
Well, if we think about assignment, actually, an assignment is nothing but a technique or method to assess the skills, knowledge, or competency of any learners.
Mhm.
If I say a bit briefly, or if I explain a bit more or elaborately, then I can say that then an assignment is a problem solving exercise with clear guidelines, structures, and specified length. It means whenever any tutors, any lecturers, or who are academics, they try to set a benchmark,
Mhm.
they try to set some guidelines and a structure or specified length for any work under which instructions learners need to work on. And if we go back to the concepts of assignments, then we can say that here almost all the institutions all over the world follow one of the common methods, which is assignment.
Mhm.
This one is sometimes a panic word for learners,
Mhm.
especially if learners move from one background to another. As you mentioned earlier, that you studied something related to history in back home or
Mhm.
in a bachelor's degree, and you have done another program in Birmingham City University, where your assignments were adversely affected, especially in regards to marking.
Mhm.
So here, if we think about these things, the key concepts of assignments, then we need to think about some points.
Mhm.
And one of them is accountability.
Mhm.
Second one is we have to think about achievement. I will explain later on if I get times about this one. Then we should think about the assessment strategies, because whenever tutors or lecturers are setting the assignment brief, they are thinking a sort of or a wide range of assessment strategies. Sometimes they are asking for knowledge questions, sometimes they are asking for presentation, sometimes they ask for professional discussion, depending on the level of qualifications and based on type of qualifications as well. And then we need to think about some words like evaluation. Then whether these assignments or assessment procedures would be assessed internally or externally. This is one of another concepts of assignments.
Mhm.
If we think about uh, organizationally or as a professional people, then they will think another word, transparency, and types of assessment or methods of assessment as well. In UK in the context, most of the institutions do different types of assessment. For example, in the beginning of the program, most of the institutions try to check the competency and knowledge of the learners. Because of this, they try to conduct initial assessment.
Mhm.
Based on initial assessment, or sometimes this initial assessment could be done in different forms as well. Sometimes it could be happened in a written format, sometimes it could be oral, sometimes it could be viva, sometimes it could be happened in internet questions or MCQ type questions as well.
Mhm.
So if I conclude this one, the concepts of assignment or the assessment, then I can say that the concept of assessment is nothing but a set of instructions provided by the tutors, assessors,
Mhm.
or the institutions, which needs to be followed by learners
Mhm.
to complete a program, an assignment, or any part of the program.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any questions about this one?
No, I'd like to go for the next question, and I mean it's very relevant to that. So the question is, how do the learners can meet the set of criteria to ensure that the assessment or assignments are valid, reliable, and fair and meet the requirements? That's the question, and I think it's relevant to the previous one you have already answered.
Yeah, this one is obviously, as you have mentioned about reliability, validity, and um, fairness about the assignments, then we have to go back to the assignment or assessment methods again. As I mentioned earlier, that depending on the qualifications, even depending on the qualification frameworks as well. So, as different types of frameworks are available in the United Kingdom. So, depending on different types of qualification frameworks, level of degree or qualifications, assessment methods could be differed. But their main target is to assess the learner's competency, knowledge, and or skills. What are these methods are normally followed in the United Kingdom? I mentioned earlier briefly, but I'm repeating this one, that sometimes some of the institutions follow fully assignment based assessment method. That means to meet the assessment criteria or to complete a single unit or number of units, learners need to complete a written report or an essay. So it depends on, it could be report or essay. So we know different, it could be differed. So I will, maybe if I get time, then I can explain it further. But here, another method is case study method. Sometimes some experts, especially who are expert in the assessment area, they try to give the case study to the learners so that they can be involved in real life events and real life scenarios to sort any problems. Sometimes some of the institutions or qualifications follow examination or written test, sometimes oral questions, oral test, simulation test, and for big mm, mm, or for, we can say, the biggest things in the assessment methods are followed is the dissertation or research project. Normally, from bachelor to upper levels, from bachelor's, undergrad, graduation, master's, PhD, their main target is to complete the dissertation or research project. But how the learners can meet the criteria of this assessment? This is the main thing. So here, if assessment criteria are set, and now I have to go back to assessment criteria. Actually, what are these things? If we think about the unit or a program, then there are some learning outcomes. That means that qualification framework or regulated body or university or college try to set some goals for one unit or number of units, that after completing this unit, learners will learn these things. But this is not sufficient or um, uh, enough to see whether these learning outcomes have been reflected among the learners or not. Then how this could be assessed? And targeting these assessments, center set some or regulated body depends on the type of institutions. As I told you, that some of the programs could be run by or regulated by external awarding bodies, and some could be regulated by universities. So depending on this type of regulated bodies, they set some criteria. This criteria means actually the questions of the assignment. Means learners need to answer these questions. They can ask to identify something. They can ask for explaining or describing or exploring or evaluating or outlining. So different types of instructions could be given by the institutions, regulated bodies, or the specific tutors who has done the assignment brief. Now, how this criteria could be met? If we think about in the context of validity, then first of all, we have to think about the questions of the assignment. I'm focusing on now assignment. So in the assignment, as I told you, that there are certain number of assessment criteria and learning outcome are outlined there. So the learners need to see what are the questions, what are the assessment criteria, based on which criteria the tutor will mark his or her work. So here, whenever I'm answering something, then I need to think about when I'm writing this report. From where we are gathering the information for this report or assignment. or essay, and what type of referencing we are providing in our report. Depending on this, the validity could be differed. Here, validity is strictly dependent on the time, resource, and the source of work. Not only resource, we are writing something maybe from some sources which are not allowed to reflect in the academic works. For example, Wikipedia. If we think about graduate level to upper levels, we can refer the Wikipedia as our source of work. Though we can get huge academic resources from Wikipedia, we can get idea, but we can't refer the things. So we have to use maybe any journals, any articles, any books, newspapers which are published in the contemporary times. If we refer something about, I'm just giving one real life example, there is a questions related to effect of coronavirus or COVID-19 on the financial factors in United Kingdom. And if we go back to the 1920 reference, then it would not be relevant. It would not be valid. We should think about today's or what's happening or what's going on in 2020, especially in regards to COVID-19 effects. So this one is the validity. Reliability, as I told you, that we are gathering or we are collecting different types of resources or references, but it should be reliable sources. This should be certified by some bodies. So that's why we can't refer the Wikipedia. Instead of that, we can go for other sources. For example, there are some online portals, and most of the UK institutions are using these portals or online resources like EBSCO or Athens or eBrary. So different types of sources or portals, and there are much more sources portals are there. So these are the most common portals used by the UK institutions. Then another question was how these criteria could be met. So all these things, if the resources are valid, that means we are doing our research or our assignment in the contemporary time. We're using the valid resources, means reliable resources. As I gave you example, eBrary or Athens or this type of resources or EBSCO host. And if we write in our own way, we are referring these sites, but we are directly copying the information from these resources, then that would not be fair. So if these criteria, if we can write in the contemporary time following the instructions of the institutions or the assessment criteria, and if we can gather information from reliable sources, then we can say that learner can meet the assessment criteria. The summary is learners should follow the instructions given by the teachers or lecturers or any awarding organizations.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, before going to the next question, I'd like to share some sort of experience. As
Yeah.
we are helping a lot of students to get into the university. And last year, what happened is in 2019, once I got a call from one of our students, and he said, what happened to our university? I said, what? He said, I'd like to share with you is very, very important, and you have to make sure that nothing happened to your student. I said, can you please share? And he said, 15 students were banned from the university. I said, what's the reason? I mean, 15 students is a good number of students. And he said, they submitted their coursework and all that stuff, and university found out they cheated. And basically, they copied from one to another. And I was shocked. And I said, what's going to happen to these students? I asked a lot of people, who are university staff. And he said that, we don't know yet. So university, they have got some sort of people. They're gonna make up a committee, and committee will decide whether they can join to the university or not. And they suspended temporarily, and university will make the decision, and then they will let them know what's going to happen to their life. And most of the university, they are so strict. If they find out something like cheating or all that stuff, they kick out from the university. So the next question would be related to that. So my question is, what is plagiarism, and what are the consequences of plagiarism to the student life? I mean, if you'd like to share regarding that, would appreciate that.
Oh, well, as you have already shared your experience, this is the things actually plagiarism. Plagiarism is nothing but copying or borrowing someone else's work or intellectual property and claim these things by of their own. That means I'm working, I'm doing one assignment, I'm writing one report, and during my report I found, oh, someone has done this type of report earlier, maybe my friends, or maybe I found these things in the website, on the website. I'm copying and I'm submitting these things for my coursework or assignment or report, dissertation, research project in anywhere. So this one is actually plagiarism.
Mm-hmm.
So this one is plagiarism or collusion. Though these two terms differ a bit in academically.
Mm-hmm.
So this one is a plagiarism, that though these works are not mine, but I'm claiming that these are mine.
Mm-hmm.
However, in this country, only in this country, many of the countries in the world are using different types of software to check the similarity index.
Mm-hmm.
And in this country, mostly used, especially from bachelor to PhD level even, they use Turnitin, one of the software, to check the similarity index.
Mm-hmm.
That shows whether learners are copied anything from any sources or not, and when these works were previously submitted or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to similarity index. Coming back to the plagiarism. What happens sometimes, due to lack of time, due to lack of concentration on work, this work means assignment, or even not focusing on the teacher's lectures especially, or guidelines, learners think that, oh, this one is very easy to do, I can do this one. They keep delaying, but when the deadline comes, they try to do it very hurriedly, very quickly. But that can't be happen, because most of the assignments actually are with 3,000, 2,000, 5,000, even 20,000 words for project works. So they try to find some shortcut ways, which is the copying something from someone else. And what happens then, because of this, they do the plagiarism, they do the collusion with the academically. Secondly, what could be the consequences of plagiarism? The consequences of plagiarism could be vast, depending on the institutions, depending on their policy and procedures, depending on the level of education or qualifications. If we think about bachelor's to upper level, the consequences is very negative for learners because of plagiarism. As you have mentioned, that some of the learners copied or something from other works, and university called for them for meeting or interview, or even further investigation. Even fraud investigation could be happened because of this one, based on level of education. What happens? What consequences happen? Sometimes, if students get any finance or any grants and scholarships, this plagiarism can diminish these things. Learners can lose the opportunity for these things. Learners can lose 0 mark on a particular unit. And if the issues is so serious, learner could be banned for 1 2 session. Even learner could be expelled from the center or the institutions. So many things could be happened because of plagiarism, which could be avoided easily if the learners start working in the beginning of their assignment, or whenever the outlines or assignment outlines are given, if they start working, they are following their teacher's instructions, maybe these kinds of hassles could be avoided.
Okay, so that was my next question as well. So, as we are very concerned about the plagiarism, so how can our students, our learners, can avoid these sort of things? Can you please share some sort of strategy, tips, or techniques? How can we avoid these sort of things?
Okay, plagiarism is a common things in academics, especially learners who are from different educational background or from different countries. Mostly they face these issues seriously. Sometimes it's because of their intention, or sometimes unintentionally it could be happened. Maybe they have not kept record of their work, they have not monitored their, they have worked on their assignment, they have some done many things, but they forgot whatever their own words and whatever the information they have collected or gathered from other sources. And because of this, plagiarisms or collisions are happening. Now, how this could be avoided? As I told you earlier, that learners should follow their teachers or lecturers' instructions first. Second one, learners should work from the beginning. Beginning means whenever the assignment outlines would be given to the learners or would be published on web portal or learning portal, wherever available sources, they should start working there. Okay, this is not the sufficient, not only the starting work from there. Whenever learners will do any work or get any idea, concepts, theory, models from anywhere, they should refer, they should say from where they got this information, from where they found this information. Means they should refer this information, and this one is known as referencing. So learners should use proper referencing. I'll explain you a bit about referencing if you don't mind. This one, in these countries, especially two types of referencing are followed. One of them is Harvard style referencing that normally we follow for academics. Sometimes, or some of the universities follow American psychological style referencing style. But most of the institutions for bachelor's level or master's level, most of them, I'm not saying all of them, but most of the institutions follow Harvard referencing style. And depending on there is a specific structure for Harvard referencing style. However, based on specific institutions, the arrangement could be differed, could be a bit different. And they should follow their teachers or the guidelines provided by specific institution. So one of the key points is to use referencing, especially Harvard referencing, or if their institutions ask them to follow American psychological style referencing, then they have to follow that one. Second one, whatever they will write, they have to write it in their own words. That means sometimes if we try to prepare an assignment or any report, we may get any idea, any theory, any model, any concepts, anything from different sources. What we need at the end or in the beginning, following different types of structures, we have to refer them, and then we have to paraphrase in our own way. That means we have to write in our own way. And then we should be engaged with our tutors or assessors or lecturers. This engagement means whenever we are doing something, as we are attending classes, either face-to-face class or in online classes, we should send this work to our tutors to know his or her feedback or opinion, whether I'm on right track or not. And third or last point is we should be a bit selfish to make good assignments or to avoid plagiarism. This selfishness means whenever we'll work on our assignment, before submission, we'll not share our assignments with our close friends or anybody. We'll give them idea. Yes, you can get sources from here. You can get resources from there. This is a good book. This is a good article. This site is providing some advices. We'll do all this. We'll support our friends. We'll support everybody, but we will not share our work because maybe wrongly or unintentionally, sometimes others can copy my work, which will ruin my life. So as a student, I should be a bit selfish in this side. But we can share our experience. We can say, oh, you can get resources from there. You can read these books and you can apply this idea. But we will not share our work with our friends or classmates or anybody. So in this way, we can avoid maybe plagiarism. I'm just summarizing this one in 4 points to avoid plagiarism. Number one, we have to use proper referencing. We have to write in our own way or own words, like, or we can say we have to do paraphrasing. We have to engage with our tutors, and we have to be a bit selfish during submission of our or preparing our assignment. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot for sharing a lot about the assignment and stuff. So I have got a particular question, especially two particular questions. So by this time, a lot of people are watching. So I'd like to thank them joining us. So Mr. Abdul Razak, so he has got a question. I want to get admitted into MA of English Literature, and is the subject available? If not, could you kindly help me in this regard? What's the requirement? Well, Mr. Abdul Razak, so the number is given on the top. What you need to do, so you are living in UK, give us a call tomorrow, or if you are living outside of the UK, so it's the same number on WhatsApp. You can give us a call, and one of our student consultant will give you the exact information what you need to do. And thanks for sharing a lot of things. And by this time I see a lot of people are watching. So MD Ahmad, yeah, Mr. Jahid Khan, Muhammad Munshi Rahman, thanks for joining us. So now, before going to the next question, I'd like to go back to your previous question. So as you say,
Yeah.
I mean, teachers, they haven't got that much time to check it, but they use some sort of software and you say Turnitin. So my question is, as a student, can I be a bit smart to do some sort of reverse engineering? For example, I mean, before submitting my assignment or coursework or dissertation, can I put into Turnitin and check by myself that is there any sort of plagiarism and what's the percentage? And if it is too much, then can I work on it? And can I then doing the modifying all that stuff? Can I submit later on? It should be, or is there any problem with that?
Okay. Thank you for this one. These questions. It actually depends on different organizations. Most of the organizations, for bachelor's and master's level, they allow submissions as many times as the learner can. However, some of the institutions restrict this submission, and they don't allow the learners to see the report. They don't allow the learners to see whether their works are similar to others or not. So it depends on the university, college, or other institution type of institutions. Sometimes, if the question, it depends, as I told you, it depends on qualifications and institutions. If their qualification is based on competency or skills, in this case, normally the assessors or tutors are well aware about the learners, about their capabilities, about their competencies, and they don't allow to see the works by the learners on the portal, because they know that one. Because they are engaged with the learners in their day-to-day activities. But if it is in higher education system, normally they allow the learners to check and recheck the works. Some of the universities don't, but most of the universities allow these things, that before final submission, they allow the learner to see whether their works are similar to others or not. For example, I have done one work. One work means one assignment. I'm submitting as a draft submission in the Turnitin, and I'm seeing the all about or the overall similarity index is showing 30%, for example. And some of the sources are showing that I have copied from one source which is 7 or 8%. If I'm smart enough, what I will do, I will work on that one, that part, because Turnitin is a software who marks different parts or different similarity parts with different colors. Different colors could be found there. So I can focus on there, because if the similarity is 1% or 2% from single source, maybe university will not bother these things, because it could be happened sometimes, because someone's concepts, models, or theories could be similar to others whenever we write assignments. But I'm not encouraging to this one, but sometimes it could be happened. But if it's more than 2 or 3%, more than 3%, then this one is a matter of concern. They think, oh, out of 3,000 words, 3% means a big number of words he or she has copied from a single source. which should be avoided by the learners, and they can check, they can log in the Turnitin account, they can check that they are similarity index, and they can reduce these things. They are allowed, mostly they are allowed.
Okay,
Thank you.
got it. Thank you so much for that. And the next question I would like to ask you, so as you mentioned about the Harvard referencing,
Yeah.
so there are a lot of students, they don't know what I mean by that. And I know this is not the class of teaching. However, can you please give some sort of ideas? I mean, how to do the Harvard referencing. For example, I have started writing my assignment, and let's say I have got a book. It's called
Yeah.
Entrepreneur's Cry and a Smile, and author is Hassan Habib. So I have taken some sort of things from the book, let's say from page 10. So in my assignment, I mean, how can I put the things from this book and do the referencing? I mean, if you can give some sort of examples so that, I mean, the learners, they can understand, I mean, what exactly they should do.
Okay, thank you. For referencing or Harvard referencing, as I told you earlier as well, that depending on the institution's arrangement could be a bit different, but their targets are same. So if we think about that, some of the informations are coming from a book, so we can follow a specific structures, a specific strategy for referring these things. And these referencing are of two types again. One is in-text referencing, and second one is list of references. That means if I take some information or take a piece of information from your book, and I'm writing in my body of the assignment, then in the body of the assignment, I should write your surname, Habib, and maybe it's published in 2019. So I have to, in first parenthesis or first bracket, we can say, we should write your surname, comma, year of publications of your book.
Okay.
So this is the for single writer. If different two writers, then we have to write maybe and another writer's surname. And if it's three, then we have to write three of the writers' surnames. First writer, comma, second writer, and third writer, then comma, then year of publications of the book. But if more than three writers, then we use a different word, ETAL. Most of the organizations use this one. After three writers, some of the organizations encourage to use after two writers, or three onward. So different type of structure could be varied. Actually, it has different structures for different sources. If it's a book, so in-text referencing would be like this, whatever I told you now. And in the reference, in the list of reference, you have to write a clear guidelines, clear source of your book, that your book is written by you. So Habib dot first name, then year of publication, then book name, then edition, then publishers, from where it has been published. If any students refer or quote something from your book directly, then from which page, everything should be mentioned here. And for journals, articles, websites, it could be differed. I would like to refer these things to the website. If learners can write Harvard referencing, and they can write their institution as well. I'm just giving one example. Someone is doing bachelor's degree from University Anglia Ruskin University. Just I'm giving example. So they can write Harvard referencing from Anglia Ruskin University. So they will get one PDF file. From there, they will get good idea or vast idea about referencing. Though all of the teachers, lecturers, or academics, normally they guide these things during the class or during the induction time, that what type of referencing they need to follow or what methods. If you can arrange one session, I can discuss vastly about only Harvard referencing. But at this time, learners can go through these things in the website. They can write Harvard referencing, they can write their institutions, and they will get idea of what type of methods or strategies should be followed for their assignment.
Okay, thank you so much. So who are watching, I'd like to request you, I'm taking a lot of notes as well. So take pen and paper And if you're struggling, with your assignment, please, this is the time to ask questions. So what you can do, you can give us a call 0743 208 9544. We're going to answer your question on live. Or what you can do, you can also type your question on comment box, and we're going to see and we're going to answer you. So thanks for joining us, Mr. Salimuddin. If you have got any question to Dr. Rab, please comment below or give us a call. We're going to answer your question on live. So I have got a question from Ahmed Abu. He said, good evening, Dr. Rab. My question is, what skills do I need to have to be a good student? He means that to get a good assignment, what sort of skills a student need to have?
Okay, thank you for these questions again. Actually, for assignment especially, one of the skills is to understand the questions, what actually we are asked for to write. This is the good skills. That means we have to understand the comment verbs, what has been asked for to do. For example, in the assignment, sometimes they ask to explain something, or the assessors or tutors ask for explain something. Now we need to know the meaning of explain, what the teachers actually asked here. Sometimes they ask for identifying something. Sometimes analyze, evaluate, demonstrate, explore, critically analyze. So this type of comment verbs are used by tutors, assessors, or academics to justify, to mark, or to assess the learner's work. To understand these things, what learners need, they need to a bit competent about their language skills.
Okay.
First of all, that's why most of the institutions ask for language skills before enrolling the learners. So this is the things, one of the skills. Second one, we should actually focus on our work. We should be a bit competitive, that yes, I will do, I can do. So this is one of the skills. Sometimes we become frustrated about our assignment and we are scared of this and we try to avoid these things. But we should try, and we should try daily. If we try daily, half an hour, 45 minutes, at the end of the session, it will be completed. Because for assignments, at least teachers or assessors or institutions allowed 4 weeks at least. So within these 4 weeks, if anyone works 1 hour or half an hour daily even, so they can do this one. For good skills, I can say reading skills and a bit writing skills as well, because we have good reading skills. That means we understand everything what we need to do, and now our time is to reflect these things on our assignments. That means we should have some skills, and we should learn some linking verbs during preparing assignments. I'm saying linking verb in a sense that sometimes we are writing, but there is no link. Sometimes we can use, for the same information, we can say moreover, consequently, subsequently, or similarly, like it. So this one, if we are disagree with them, then we can use however, or contrary to this, on the other hand. So different types of connective words, we should know the use of these connective words um, before preparing or during preparing our report. So this can help learners to prepare good reports and to get or achieve higher grade.
Yeah, thank you so much. So just I have noted down, so to be a good student, to make your assignment, so grammatical things, then reading skills. So if I was asked to explain, I have to explain. If I was asked to identify, I have to do that. And then linking words, and I have to practice it daily, whatever is given. And you also suggested us, don't leave the work at the last minute.
For the last minute.
Yes.
We have to start it as soon as possible, and we have to work daily.
Okay.
That's the thing.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I would like to ask you my next question. And so the question is, what are the suitable resources for assignment?
Yeah. Thank you for these questions. Sometimes we can, or we like to work on our assignments, but because of or lack of resources, we can't do these things. And sometimes we can say because of lack of our skills, or because due to not following our lectures, maybe we don't get the appropriate or best suitable resources for our assignment. First of all, first and foremost thing is the learners can get study resources from their institutions, either hard copy or soft copy. That means whenever most of the institutions in this country run any program, they have appropriate resources in their library,
Mhm.
or they upload their teachers, their lecturers, or the institutions themselves upload the soft copies of their resources on their learning portal, learning management system, or the virtual learning environment. They upload this thing there.
Mhm.
They can go through there, or they can go through their learning portal.
Mhm.
Second thing, they can access their local libraries,
Mhm.
because in United Kingdom, everywhere, if you work 500 years, you will get many libraries. So from there you can get uh, study resources.
Mhm.
Now people are not going to the library too much because we are becoming smarter.
Mhm.
So we can follow the smart way as well. We have smartphone, we all are using smartphones, we are using iPad, or different types of tabs, or different types of electronic gadgets. We can download one small software like Kindle,
Mhm.
and we can download many books freely, which could be used as good resources for our assignment. And we can go through some other sources as well, open sources, where we can see books. Even if I go to, if I refer the Amazon, from there we can get some free books.
Mhm.
There are some other sources. Maybe we can keep later on the sources name, that we can access free books.
Mhm.
So these are the main sources. Even if it's the higher level program, then we can follow the Google Scholar. This is free of cost. We don't need to pay anything. If we want to get any articles, journals, or something like this, we can get from Google articles. In the Google, we can just write Google Scholar, and then whenever Google Scholar will appear, then we can access, or we can write the keywords of our assignments or research or anything. Then we can get good resources, we can say very vast resources from there for assignments.
Mhm.
So in summary, I can say that uh, college or university or institution VLE or virtual learning environment, or web portals, we can say portals,
Mhm.
then local libraries, different websites, different softwares like Kindle could be used as resources for academic, for assignments.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So what I have understood from your sharings, that there are a lot of resources, just you have to use it. So regarding that, I have got a single question is, so sometimes we get a lot of things from the newspaper or some sort of web pages. So can you also add that in our assignment?
Yes, I actually forgot this one. Yes, even newspapers, magazines, any articles, even from websites, we can use this information for our assignment. But as we told earlier as well, that if we use any kind of these resources, we have to just write the reference. We have to just refer them, that from where we have found this information, or from where
Mhm.
we have got this piece of information. So just we have to refer properly. And if we go through the Harvard referencing system, there is a systematic way for referring newspaper or articles or any web page. So everything is there. So we can use these resources as well. Thank you.
Mhm. Okay. So next question is, so if we understand, I mean, what my teachers are looking for example, I have got the assignment. Now, before submitting or when I started doing the assignment, I'm thinking, well, my teachers are looking for five things on my assignment. And so as, I mean, you have got vast experience regarding this industry and you have evaluated so many papers from the students. So what are the most important five things you're gonna look at when you evaluate our assignments, and so that, I mean, learners can learn whatever the things they need to focus on so that they can get a good grades. So what are the first five most important things you'll be looking into when you are evaluating an assignment?
Thank you for your questions. Whenever we evaluate any assignment, first of all, we go through the assignment of the learners and we try to match these things with our assessment criteria. For example, we have asked something to do the learners, but with some of the learners are writing many things. They have written maybe 500, 600 words for one learning, one assessment criteria, which could be reflected by only 100 words, but they have written 500 words, which are not very closely related to the assessment criteria. Then we mark it differently. But whenever we or anybody asks for any assessment criteria, then first of all they focus whether the learners have followed the instructions or not. Because I'm just giving one example. In one of the questions, maybe the teachers asked to analyze critically a part of his or her questions. Okay, so now I will go through that part critically as well. Then what is critically, or how I can ensure that, or how I can be assured that the learners have reflected critically in this work. For example, if we say about just in general, what is critical analysis? So critical analysis is like there is a statement. If we think about it, just I'm taking one business case. So there is a business case. Some of the authors, writers, or publishers said something about one statement that it could be good for the company. So I'm writing the support of this statement first. Secondly, I need to find out someone if they are not agree with them, or if they are disagree with this group or this writer or authors or publishers, whoever has actually supported this statement. Then I have to disagree by support of other writers. Now I have to compare actually what happened, because for the same statement, some of the authors, writers, or publishers are saying something, and some of them are disagreeing with them. Then at the end, what is my opinion? What is my understanding from there? I have to reflect here. I have to provide my own opinion here. So if any learners can do these three things, that means the learner is providing supportive materials. That means someone has already supported this statement. Someone was disagreed. He is also doing that one. And comparing these two statements, the learner is concluding his opinion. If I see this one, then I can say, yes, learner has followed the instructions clearly, and he or she is capable or eligible to secure the good grade, maybe merit or distinction. But depending on other criteria, learners has done these things, but referencing was poor, or writing was poor, too much grammatical errors were evident. In this case, learner's grade could be lower. So whenever we assess anything, we focus on the assessment criteria, key comment verb of the assessment criteria, and we see the learner's work, whether they have followed the instructions or not. If they follow this one, they can get good grades. In one sentence, I can say learners should follow the instructions provided by the assignment brief.
Okay.
That's the thing.
Okay. Thank you so much. So right now, I'd like to share with you. I mean, now our guest is prominent guest is Dr. Rab. I mean, if you have got any questions regarding the assignment, please keep asking. We will keep answering your question. So before going to the next question, I'd like to ask you. I mean, so here, Dr. Rab is giving a lot of information. He is sharing his experience and all that stuff. So probably there are a lot of students out there that is struggling. They are having some sort of same problem. So to help them, can you please share? Just hit the share button, and so that they can get it, they can get benefit out of it. So that's my humble request. So if you share, we would appreciate that. And before going to the next question, I'd like to thank you, Dr. Rob, again. Thank you so much for giving time out of your busy schedule. So next question I'd like to ask you.
Thank you.
So what the things I mean you would like to advise for learners to ensure a good grade, though it might be a bit repetitive, but I'd like to make sure that the viewers they can understand what sort of things learners have to have to ensure their good grades.
Thank you for your questions again. For this one, or to secure good grades, I will request the learners to read the full instructions or the questions first. That means we have to go through the questions first before start writing. Second thing, we have to follow the comment verbs. So whenever we are reading, we are not just only reading, we are scanning, we are trying to find out the comment verbs. What the teachers asked for to write here. So comment verb, did they ask to write or to identify something? Did they ask to explain something? Did they ask to describe something? Did they ask to evaluate something? Did they ask to analyze something? Did they ask to critically analyze something? So we have to be very careful. We have to be very keen to these comment verbs. Second one, we have to start working as soon as possible. We should not keep the work for the last moment. It can lead to lower marks or poor grades. Secondly, we have whenever we are doing work, sometimes maybe we have done something, but we have not checked or rechecked. So sometimes because of human errors, many errors could be happened. But if we can check these things at least 2-3 times, if we after completing this report, if we can go through 2-3 times after checking the comment verbs, then it will help us to get good grades. We can easily reduce our errors or mistakes from there. Next point is we have to use proper referencing. Whenever we'll write something, we'll give the credit from where we got this information. Maybe we have got a very good piece of information, but because of referencing, because of the lack of the referencing, it can lead to lower grade or poor marks. Then we have to think about the feedback about the teachers before submitting, though it depends on the type of qualifications, because in the United Kingdom different types of qualifications are available, and some of the qualification don't allow learners to give formative feedback, we say. But most of the qualifications in the university level or master's level, the teachers normally give their opinion, though they don't give sometimes they are not allowed to give enhanced feedback or very descriptive feedback or extended feedback, but then they inform the learners about their opinion, that maybe if they do like this, they can get good grades, or maybe whatever they have done, it will not secure the pass grade. So they should get feedback from their tutors or tutors or lecturers who are associated with them. So I can summarize these things. To get good grades, learners should read the full instructions or assignment brief first. Secondly, they need to follow the comment verbs or comment words, whatever have been mentioned or whatever written in the assignment brief. Then they start working as soon as possible. They should check and recheck their works. They should use proper referencing, and they should go through again their works before final submission. And if possible, they should get feedback from their teachers, assessors, or whoever associated with. Thank you for this question.
Okay, so the last statement you have said, I was not clear. That's why I'd like to reconfirm you. So
Yeah.
you said feedback. What do you mean by that? I mean, before submitting my assignment, should I go to my tutor or teacher and can I request that? Can you please take a look on my assignment? I mean, if you have like to give some feedback and I'd like to work on it. Did you mean that or something?
Yes, exactly like that. But depends on the types of qualifications. As I told you, that depending on types of qualifications and level of education, this feedback could be differed. For example, if we do work on an assignment, then sometimes teachers even ask to see the works. They ask the learners to show their works to the teachers, what they are doing, to keep monitoring the learners, to ensure that learners are on track. So it's the teacher's responsibility again, that when they should check. The teacher's responsibilities are not only to teach the learners but also to keep record of the learners. They should monitor, or they monitor the learners what they are doing. And if they are allowed, they give their opinion, valued opinion to the learners before their final submission. They can give opinion. It maybe sometimes they are not allowed to provide the written feedback, but verbal feedback, or they can say, oh, say their opinion that, oh, you have done this one. Maybe if you could do in this way, could lead good marks, or it could lead higher marks, or maybe it could lead pass mark. This one. Second thing, as I told you, that depends on level of programs and type of programs. If the learners do assignment, it could be happen whatever I told earlier. But if it's related to a project, a dissertation, then obviously learners should be very closely engaged with their supervisors or the mentors, and in every step of their project, they should get feedback from their supervisor, because they are expert. Their expertise could be applied in their project, so that at the end, learners can get the qualification. Learners can meet the pass criteria at least. Even if they work hard, maybe merit or distinction grade could be assured if they are engaged with their tutors, assessors, or whoever associated with the assessment work. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So, I mean, if you are thinking about doing your assignment and submit your coursework, so I'd like to urge you, please make sure that you have seen your tutors or teacher before submitting your work and get the feedback. And if you have done something wrong, please work on it. And after that, you should submit it. And so I'd like to share with you some sort of experience in my life. So as I told you, when I studied at Birmingham City University, in first semester, I failed 3 out of 4. But what happened is when I started, learning a lot, trying to adjust with their system and all that stuff and procedures, and I think that was the last semester. We got a paper, it's called Entrepreneurship and Innovation. So I was so much into it. I loved the coursework, and the teacher was open and all that stuff as well. And I did the same thing as you suggested. So I did my coursework, and after finishing that, I didn't submit. I went to my teacher, and he was not there. I asked one of his colleagues when he will be available, and he said in 2 days time. I went to see him. I said, sir, can you please have 5 minutes time? I'd like to show you something. He said, what is that, and who are you? Because in the classroom there are a lot of students, even they don't know who you are. I said, I have got a class with you, and this is the course you are teaching us. So before submitting, I'd like to get some sort of feedback. Can you please take a look? And he was going to the paper like these things, and he said, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that. And then after that, whatever the feedback I got, I worked on it, I think 3-4 days. And after that, I submitted, and I got, wow, 80% marks. And I couldn't believe that was my mark. And that was, just I utilized one of the tips as I shared it, just shared with us. So guys, I'd like to request you again, if you'd like to submit your coursework, please see your tutor, see your course worker, and after getting the feedback, submit it. So right now we have got a lot of people, they're watching us, and if you just join, so we have got prominent guest, Dr. Rab. He has got so much experience in this teaching industry, and if you have got any questions regarding the assignment and coursework, please ask, and he is going to answer you on live. So before going to the last question, I'd like to share a bit a story of our students as well. Sometimes we get a lot of students, and they say, I miss a lot of classes. I had a course like research methodology. These things happen to my life. My parents were sick. My children, they are in the hospital. That's why I couldn't join this coursework. And now I didn't understand anything of the assignment and all that stuff. So is there anything you can help us? And as you said, doing someone else's work is completely cheating and is against the policy and procedure. That's why we can't help them, and we can, give it the wrong advice as well. So regarding this sort of situation, when a lot of students going to the class, there are different types of students. like so a few students they are very advanced. I mean they understand whatever the teacher said, and you will get some of the students they are the middle class. I mean they need some sort of time to go through this process, and you will say some of the students I mean they are so limited, they need so much time to understand the things, and the assignment and stuff they have got the time framework, and by this time they have to do a lot of things, and they sometimes I mean of university they can't have that much resources or skilled people to help out the students. And in that scenario, my question is, do you have any sort of support or helping services for learners, I mean, who are victim of this sort of scenario? And if you have so, can you please share with us?
Thank you. As I told you, I'm working in the education industry for a long time, and I also experienced the same things from my learners, from my colleagues, and from different sources that learners face difficulties whenever they do something, especially on assignments. Different adverse effects could be happened, and considering these things, I have made one network who can support, who can provide the tutoring support for the learners. Yes, we provide this type of support. Like whenever learners are working, maybe they have missed some classes, they missed one specific subject, they can contact us, and we can advise them with our expert tutor or subject specialist tutor, that they can advise them that how they can do these things, how they can overcome these difficulties. Yeah, we provide this type of supports as well. And for this one, I can provide you the link and or email address.
Please.
You can provide this thing so that they can contact through the email.
Okay.
Thank
So
you.
we're gonna add that on the comments. So, I mean, if you'd like to have some sort of support regarding this service, so you can communicate with us on the given email, and hopefully, I mean, you have got any question, or if you are struggling with something else, or you know our permanent guest, so he has done his PhD. So if you are looking for some sort of things I mean doing, and you're on the fence, you don't know where to start, in that case probably he will be able to help you. So that's the another reason to give you the link, I mean email address. So if you have got some sort of questions, struggling with something else, please communicate with that email, and he will be able to serve you. And before finishing this show, I'd like to mention some of the people name who are watching right now. So and I'd like to say thank you for joining. So Mr. Saifur Rahman Khan, basically he's my ex-employer. I used to work for Saifur a long time, and I appreciate that I have learned so many things from him. Thank you, Sonny, joining here, sir. And before finishing this show, Dr. Rob, I'd like to request you, would you like to share anything else? And I mean, you thought thinking that I missed to ask you, or I left something. I mean, before finishing this.
Okay, I think we have covered most of the things related to assessment, assignment, or these things. So, just one of the things, whatever I'm thinking that we have missed, that one is assessment methods. That's we have discussed only assignment. So, just I'm summarizing something that nowadays most of the institutions are following different types of methods for a single unit, for a single module. They are not only doing the assignments for a unit, sometimes based on the learning outcomes, because they are dividing the learning outcomes based on their knowledge or understanding, based on their competency, or this type of questions sometimes are termed as be able to questions. For this one, sometimes they are going for professional discussion based on level of education as well. So they are going for professional discussion, sometimes they are going for observation, sometimes they are doing presentation in person or face to face presentation. So for these things also they should or they means the learners should be engaged from the beginning of the program, and they should follow their teachers instructions to get good marks. That's the things, actually my last comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So before finishing, I'd like to mention, I mean, what are the service we are providing right now? So we are working with a few universities in UK. So right now we are working in London, Birmingham, Manchester, and Milton Keynes. So if you'd like to go into the university, and if you are local students here, local, I mean, if you are British or European citizen, without any sort of qualification. If you can speak and write, you can get into the university. And regarding that thing, we have got a few offices in London, Birmingham, Manchester, and Milton Keynes. You can call us 0743-208-9544. And regarding any sort of questions, I mean, where you are on the fence, we can help you. And if you have got any other questions, I mean, if you'd like to let us know, you can send us a message on messenger. We can help you, and we're gonna answer you, I mean, as soon as possible. So that's the end of our show. I'd like to thank you again for joining us, sir, and hopefully in future we're gonna get you on our show. Thank you so much, and
Thank you.